What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Shay McCray Show. And today, I have the honor of sitting next to and interviewing the boss man himself, who actually gave me my shot in FUBU Radio, who actually took a chance on me actually here on the Shay McCray Show as well. Allowed me to enter his space in New York after calling over and over and over again for 1 year. Oh, you know I'm gonna tell a story. CEO of FUBU Radio and one of the co-founders of FUBU, and y'all all know, for us, by us, Mr. Keith Perrin. What's up, Keith?
What's up, Shay? What's going on?
How you doing?
Hey, I'm blessed. I'm sitting on your couch today.
You sitting on my couch? I see. So I'm glad you got your foot up. That's what all I want to make sure. I hope the camera caught that because, I remember saying, why don't you sit down and do the interview too, as we was preparing this show and we was getting some guests ready for the show. You said, yeah, I got to buy some sneakers for the show. So I said, you buying sneakers for the show? Are these the sneakers you bought?
I didn't buy no sneakers.
Okay. I mean, well, because I know if you would have born, they probably would have been like Potter, Gucci, or something like that.
No. I'm real plain Jane. They would have been some Forces, Air Forces.
They would have been Air Forces.
I like to keep the white Air Forces, but I just didn't get a chance to actually do it, and then I just put some outfits around the sneakers I already have.
Okay, all right. Well,
I mean, most of my sneakers pretty much brand new. But
he went there. So let's talk about the fashion man. All right. So being one of the founders of FUBU, okay. How did you guys even get into the fashion industry?
Well, Damon came up with this tie top hat. This story's been told 1,000 times, but he came up with the tie top hat. I wasn't really a fan of. I'm a baseball cap type of dude, so I never really wore it. Plus, it was a trend. So he came up with that, and then he did that for a couple of years. And Jay is actually the cat that was like, "Yo, we can make this an actual clothing line. Like we can do different things." And from that start of him saying that, then we started to do hockey jerseys, football jerseys, scuba jackets, and sweatshirts, and all that stuff. So, and that's kind of how it all started out.
Now, when they first came out, the clothing were big. Everybody was wearing big. How did you come up with the idea of being so big? And you guys actually y'all were known for how big the clothing were.
Yeah. Well, at that time, it was the '90s, the early '90s. Everybody's clothes were huge,
baggy.
But we feel, we used to have like meetings with our peers, right? So we would say, what do you want to see, or the clothing that you're buying right now, what is missing? So we did some bigger guys like athletes and stuff like that, and they would say, yo, the jeans, the jeans got to be able to fit my thighs, and it just all this stuff. So when we designed that in our mind. We say, you know what, we're gonna put that together, and we'll have it fit, and we'll have it oversized, but we won't have it too oversized. So we'll have it where it fits your thighs, your legs, but we'll bring it up a little bit in the waist where it's not like hanging off your behind. But back then, I told this funny story the other day. Is like people that were a 2X wanted a 4X. So they would be like 2X 38, but they would wear 4X 44. It just was that time and the way people wore their clothes. So that's how it started.
Now you guys were up against, I wouldn't say Sean John because it came after you guys,
right? No,
that
was after. Yeah.
It was definitely like, was it Pele? It was after, so?
Well, Pele at the time, they were only doing leather jackets.
They were only doing, they were out,
but the people
But you guys have FUBU jackets?
Yeah, we developed the FUBU jackets later on, but the people that we were coming up with were people like Aniche, Mecca. Those are my guys.
Apple Bottoms.
Phil Pabon, God bless him. Nelly Apple Bottoms that came after. But those were the lines that were out that we were competing with back at that time. Obviously there was Carl Kanan. There was not Pure Players, Cross Colors. But it was like those guys.
Now Cross Colors was before.
Yeah, Cross Colors was pretty much first.
Okay,
right?
All right.
Then it was Carl Kanai.
Yep.
So Carl Kanai was doing extremely well. I was even wearing Carl Kanai back then. But then when we came out, we kind of like just took it to another level, you know. And I think what was good about us was that there was 4 young black men that came together, that was doing something positive, and our story was very interesting in how we got together and what we were doing. And you know, obviously the whole thing with LL, signing LL to the label, that helped us tremendously. So with all of that, people just bought into the story and they just loved what we were doing. And plus, we were heavy on the give back.
Yeah.
So in our community, people go back and, you know, do turkey drives and put computers in schools and things like that. And people used to say, why didn't y'all call the news people out here to see all of this? And it was like, because it's not about them.
Yeah.
It's about you guys. This is not a photo op for us. This is us giving back, you know, because you guys support us, so we want to give back. We want to bring it back to our neighborhood. So, you know, in doing all of that, we just became bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Now, seeing where you guys came from, where you've been, and where you at now, what are some of your what are your biggest regret during your hot moment?
I think we could have paced ourselves a little bit better.
Okay.
But for us, it was like, we didn't think none of this was possible. So for us, it was like, you know, we got to make as much money as we can, as soon as we can, because this is going to be over really quick. Usually you get a lifespan in like 3.5 years, 4 years.
Now, when you say you don't think it's possible, did you guys just go in it as like just a neighborhood thing, or did you not think it would be a worldwide?
No, we thought we would have a store.
Oh,
we
okay.
We would be selling our clothes out of a store.
Okay.
So when it actually took off and it started growing, we did this thing called the Black Expo back in the days. And little did we know, doing the Black Expo planted seeds all over, you know, because we did them all. We did the one in DC, we did New York, we did a few places, I think Philly. We did a bunch of them, but it planted seeds where people loved the design first, but they also loved the meaning, the for us, by us meaning. So we were selling out. Every Black Expo we went to, we would sell out. We didn't understand how big it was, because these people now had these pieces and they were going around to the stores trying to find more. But we weren't in any stores. So when we got our deal with Samsung, it was like, you guys have to sell 5 million in 3 years, or we're gonna take your name, or you gotta pay us back the money. So being that we planted all these seeds, we did 5 million in the first season, which is basically from like September to November, end of November, December. And then the second season, we did like 25 million. So once they saw that, it was like, these guys have something, they know what they're doing. Let's give them the financing to put it out there. And they just opened the floodgates, and we just ran with it.
Yeah. So is that why the rumor came about that you guys sold FUBU?
That didn't come about until, I want to say, around 98, because we were so hot that other clothing lines were trying to figure out how to slow us down, how to stop us. I don't know who put the rumor out there, but they put it out there.
Yeah.
And it's alive to this day.
Yeah.
No matter what we do, no matter what we say.
Could you explain that a little bit more to the people, like who owns it, and how you guys do licensing? Because they don't understand the difference.
So we own the brand, and what you do when you have a brand is you can sell certain territories. So we sold, I think, Japan, Korea, the Philippines, and a couple other places. But we sold those territories because we didn't see us being in those territories, making that much money. So if I could go to Korea and sell the Korean territory for $40 million, I'm gonna sell it.
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10, I'm not gonna make $40 million in that territory if I try to do it myself. Because you got the bootleggers, you got all kind of stuff going on. So
and hip hop is pretty big over there as well.
Yeah, it is. But you can't, you know, if you're not there, if you're not actually physically there, making sure it's in the right stores, it's in the right places, you know, you have to be there. So we didn't feel like we had the time or the energy to do that. So we said, okay, you want to buy this territory? All right, give us $40 million. And we sold those territories. Okay. Now, fast forward, people assume that we sold the brand, and we didn't, because we still own the U.S. territories. We still own a gazillion other territories. It was just certain like 3 or 4 territories that
because you got FUBU Africa right now.
We got FUBU Africa. So we had all of these territories that we do and still currently own, but you know, people just assume that we had sold it, and they just.
What territory make the most money?
Let me see. Probably for us, probably was the United States.
Okay.
Because we were here, we could control here, we could get to the places, we could see the stores, and you know, you got to keep them in the right stores to keep the brand, the level of the brand up. But what happened with us, we were fearful that we were only going to have 3 years to 4 years, so we made so much product, and we turned out so much product that we was trying to like just make as much money as we can. And in doing that, it kind of hurt us because, you know, you would go to the club. I remember we would go to the club and it'd be like 2 or 3 people with the same outfit on in the club, and they'd be looking across the club like, oh man, this dude got on my whole fit. Like, so we started to notice that, okay, it's a lot of product out there. Like, how do we figure this out? So what we did was I think it was around 2000, one of our licensees came to us and said, hey, we could open up some freestanding stores overseas. We should look into that. So we looked into that, and then we started opening up stores overseas. So we opened around 200 stores overseas in different places like Milan, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, where else? It's so many places. Like, I have to actually look at this sheet. Brazil, like, it's just so many places that we open these these stores, and that helped us reach a level that other people couldn't touch because they were concentrated in the States, and we were already had a hold on the States, and now we were concentrating overseas. And that's how we became so big, because a lot of people overseas, they love the brand, they love what it stood for, and it just got bigger and bigger. So
I know you talked about they putting a rumor out there that you guys sold it, right? And that was them trying to take you guys down. What do you believe like kind of hurt the brand back then to slowing down and people thinking you guys are no longer around? Just what's your take? Putting out too much product. Too much product. It was, how about the bootleg era?
And it was bootleg. You know, everybody was bootlegging. Every brand at that time, but we were the biggest brand, so they were making the most money off our brand. But I remember a time where we get distribution checks, so we weren't getting distribution checks, right? So we were like, oh, where's the distribution? What's going on? And they say, well, you have $23 million worth of product in the warehouse. We got to get some of that down. So we went in there, we off-priced some stuff. And another thing too, we sold to, so this is the misconception, because a lot of people get this, and I want to clear this up. You know, people say, oh, you guys are in Walmart, or you're in Ross, or you're in Target, or you're in these places that you're not supposed to be. But every major brand is in these stores.
Every major brand,
and you make the product specifically for these stores. So you're not going to go in Walmart and get a $200 leather jacket, because their price points ain't that. So you have to really appeal to each customer. And you know, you don't go in there and say, oh, Nike's in there, I'm not buying Nike no more. But they held that against us. Like, if we went into these stores, it was like, oh, I'm not wearing FUBU.
But your prices had never been up to
I mean, they were high, but they weren't like super duper high. And then what the thing about us is we kept we put the product, the quality into the product. So even though it might have been a little high, it was because of the quality that we put in the product. So even when we launched again in 2016, we only relaunched because people were thrifting. And they were finding leather jackets, they were finding sweatshirts. And if you see the product, you'd be like, this product cannot be 25 years old. But it looked brand new because of the quality of the product, of the materials that we put in the product. So, you know, that's how it goes.
So let's speaking of product placement, because LL wore a hat and a Gap commercial where another thing that went viral because he said, for us, by us.
On the low. On the low.
And at that time, it kind of gave you guys a lot of exposure, especially with him having a hat on.
And that's another thing, you know, LL, I salute him all day. he didn't have to do what he did for us, you know. And in the beginning, he didn't want to do it. And when he did it, he looked at us and he looked at the determination in our eyes, and he was like, you know what? This is gonna be my give back. You know, I'm gonna give these guys a leg to stand on and see what they do with it. And he told us that day, if you guys ever make something out of this, I want my cut. Yeah. And we was like, all right, cool, you know. And he went in and he wore it on TV shows, movies, videos. Like he, you know, I got pictures of him with the president of the United States.
So was he actually a brand ambassador for the brand?
He was what you would say a brand ambassador at that time.
Because y'all was just giving clothes out at this time, right?
Yeah, but what we did was we made him a official owner of the brand too. So we gave him a piece of it. Okay. And you know, we cut checks. I don't think nobody noticed. Yeah, no, they some people know. Okay. But we know we did that because of the love that he shared and he gave us. So we. He still own the cut. Yeah, he still own. He still own the cut of FUBU right now. He still own. Okay. Got some exclusive stuff going on over here. Okay. He still own it, but right. I wanted, because you asked me a question earlier, I want to circle back on that. You asked me what hurt the brand, and I think when we was trying to get those distribution checks, what happened was we did a lot of off-price stuff, but we also had, you know, in the warehouse, things fall out the boxes or the bags, and it was all on the floor.
So it was a lot of damage.
So it was a lot of damage and dirty clothes and whatever. So we had these huge boxes. We had like 4 to 6 huge boxes of just goods that we couldn't sell. So it was around, I think it was around November, end of November. So he's like, yo, what are we gonna do with all this stuff? So we collectively sat down and we said, you know what? We should give it out to the less fortunate. You know, we can't sell it. You know, ain't nobody, you know, give nobody no dirty clothes. Yeah. You know, when you got a whole company like ours, if you give somebody some dirty shirts, because you're not gonna clean the shirts and give it to them, so you give them some dirty shirts, they're gonna look at you sideways. So what we did was we gave it to the less fortunate, and then they started wearing it. And then when they started wearing it, people looked at us like, oh man, I'm not wearing FUBU no more. Look, they got it on. And it was that whole thing. Yeah. And then from there,
you saw a decline.
But from that, and then the just overpopulating the brand, you started to see the decline start to come. So in 2005, we figured out we would create another brand and name it FUBU, and because we were getting a lot of hate too back then. You know, that's a whole nother story. But we were getting a lot of hate. So we came up with this line called Crown Holder, and we took that from 2000, it was like 2005 to 2008, and we made it like a $20 million line. And then in between that time, we started working with Cool G, Kappa, Married to the Mob. What else was the other one that Heatherette? So we had a lot of other brands that was coming out of our house that we were working with and help building. So, you know, it was something that we did, and we got it to, you know, like I said, we got it to 20 million. And then the recession in 2008 came, and then that's when everything kind of just...
That's when everything,
everybody, you know, Damon started looking at Shark Tank, and I was starting to open up my own agency, and Jay started opening up his TV company, so we just started pivoting at that point. Yeah.
Well, that brings us to FUBU Radio, okay? How did FUBU Radio come about?
Well, my partner, Demetrius Brown, he reached out to me one day, and he was like, hey, you ever think about starting a radio station? And at the time, I had so much going on. I was like, man, I ain't thinking about starting no radio station. I got to get a building. I got to get this and equipment. And then we got to hire people and DJs. And I ain't got time for all of that. Like, who's going to manage that? You're in one state. I'm in another state. How are we going to put that together? And he was like, you know what? We can do it. We don't have to do it on a large magnitude. We could start small. And he just stayed on me for like, I think it was like 6 to 9 months. He just was like...
Kind of like how I did. I stayed on you. Like
yeah, he stayed on me. So then after a while, I was like, you know what? Let's just start and see where it goes. So I started with a little board that only could record 2 people, you know, me and the guest. And then my first guest was the Hamiltons.
Oh, okay.
So I interviewed them, and they were all on one mic. So my engineer said, bro, what kind of board you got? I said, I got a board. I got this board. He looked it up. You know, he's one of those tech guys. So he looked it up. He's like, this only records 2 people. I can't even level this out. One guy's talking loud. One guy's talking low. I can't do nothing with it. So then we figured at that time, okay, let's get the right equipment. And then we started building it out. And then we just started slow. We moved. We had a studio, in the
Yeah, so I know I keep joking about
penthouse.
That, but yeah, my uncle who introduced me to you guys, because you guys was the first. Actually, y'all was the first. FUBU Brothers was the first people to hit his magazine, NV magazine. Did you know that?
On the cover. I got
on
the
cover
I
of
got
the
it
magazine.
framed at my house.
Yep,
That was the first cover I was
NV
on.
magazine. So I guess him and Jay and Damon, they were friends. But he told me he knew Jay first.
Yeah, I don't know who. I just know I met him at the shoot.
Yeah.
He's a very cool guy.
Yeah.
We became tight. We still tight to this day. And then I remember you reached out to me, and
because
at
of
the
him.
time, and I was trying to put it together. And then
I didn't know that. Let me tell my side of the story, right? So my side of the story was I inboxed you, called, you got the number. He was like, hey, I'm doing radio, I'm working in Atlanta. He was like, oh, okay, all right, cool, boom. I called back, hey, I'm calling back to follow up. I'm gonna call you right back. All right, boom. I kept calling. 7 months, 8 months go by, 9 months go by. Next thing I know, I get a call. I remember this because I was on my way to India with my uncle. Yeah. Hey, you still interested in doing radio? I'm like, yeah. Like, what do you mean? I'm still working. He was like, all right, bet, when can you come? I'm like, man, I'm about to be gone for 2 weeks. And, at that moment, I was like, oh, I think I might miss my opportunity. I did. I said that. I was like, they want me. He was like, it is what it is. We going to India. There's nothing you can do about it, And I remember coming to your studio, but at the time I had worked with Jay Dixon from WBLS. He wound up training me in how to speak radio. So by the time I interviewed with Demetrius and got on the phone with him, Demetrius I don't know what he said to you, but I guess he knew I spoke radio at that time. He was like, I think she's experienced. At this point, I'm like, I'm really not, but it is what it is. We're gonna take it from there, right? And I remember walking in there, and all y'all was there, Herc, Sick Child, you, and he was like, all right, you ready to do your own show? And at this time, I'm like, do my own show, like, bro, you don't even know me, like, I feel all awkward up there. That was my moment. I'm not gonna lie. In my mind, I'm like, what is he talking about? Doing what? Like
I come from the fashion world. I didn't understand.
I'm like, do my own show. Like, how nervous is that? I just got off the plane. What is he talking about? You know what I'm saying? So, I guess it worked out because here we are. But it's been 5 years.
Yeah, I know. But
I have been working with you.
Let me tell my story. When we were building it, right? It took us a little time to kind of formulate the music and how we wanted it to play out.
Oh, okay.
And then Demetrius, we started with just DJs.
Okay.
So it was just DJs.
Just to get the music playing.
The music right and figure out. So it took about 2 years to get that part right?
Yeah.
So once we got the music right, then we was like, we need personalities. We need to build this out. Because I didn't want a Pandora. I didn't want to just play music. I wanted personalities. I wanted people to connect with the personalities. I wanted to be able to tell you, hey, I want you to kind of talk about this or speak about this person or encourage, different things that in my mind that I wanted to do with the station. So the thing, when you came in, I was like, okay, the first time you got on the mic, you killed it. And I was like, okay, she professional.
I actually knew I killed it the first time when another time I went and did a show. I think I was in Vegas and I sent you the show and you was like, you said, hey, yo, I received your show. I'm not airing that. Do another one. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm like, what? Oh, I never forget that moment. I was sitting in the house and I was like, oh man, like, oh, this is crazy. Like, he just told me straight up. Like, I was like, all right, I gotta get it together. Like, you gotta think, you know what I'm saying? But he was like,
no, but what impressed me about you was your work ethic. Like, you were flying up to New York every week, and I was like, she about to ask me if she's paying for these flights. I don't know. Like, we on a shoestring budget around here. But you never did. You came up every week. I didn't know how you were getting there, but I was keeping my mouth shut because I didn't even want to ask. But
you ask, you pay. You know how it goes.
Exactly. So I found out later how you did it, but I respected your hustle and I respected that you came up and you would. And it wasn't like you would come up every other week or every few weeks. You came up every week, and I was like, okay, this this girl is gonna be it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and you know, we pulled it off.
So with that being said, look, I now own stock in FUBU Radio now.
Yes, exactly. But you know, even then, because when we were building it, I was trying to keep the people that was really working. You know, I wasn't giving it out to everybody. Yeah. But the people that was putting in the work.
Yeah, few of us got it.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that you guys felt a part of the company, and that, you know, if this thing was to become big and God forbid we make some money out of it, then you guys will get a nice piece of change too. Yeah,
so I appreciate it.
That's how that
well,
works.
I thank you. We're a little over time, but I can't seize this moment without asking you the question of the day. Okay. You know how it goes, so we got to get up out of here, but not before you pick your question, so we can see, we can get personal on what's going on.
What you got in here?
Yep. Don't peek, just pick.
Mix it up. Get this one in the corner.
We know you married, but we need some honesty out of these questions.
Oh yeah, you know I'm honest like a mug.
You honest?
Socks or no socks in bed?
Okay, all right.
No, how could I say this? I'm kind of like a germaphobe. So like I'm not the person that I never walk on the ground with my bare feet. Yeah. Like I never do that in my life. So before I get into bed, I'm socks, and then once I get into bed, I take my socks off.
You take your socks off.
Yeah, because when I was little, I used to sleep in my socks, and my feet used to stink. You know what I'm saying? So one day I went over somebody's house one day, and she said, "Y'all gotta take off y'all shoes. Y'all gotta take off y'all shoes over here." And I was like, "Take off my shoes?" I was like, "What?" So I took off my shoes, and when I'm telling you I stunk up the whole house, she was like, "Nigga, you got to go. You got to get up out of here."
Oh, wow.
And then after that, my mom's is like a real one. So I was telling her, "Mom, I went over to this lady's house, this girl house, and she told me to take off her shoes." She's like, "Bro, you got to wash your feet. You got to make sure you take off your socks, and you can't be sleeping in your socks." So that's how I kind of got to like not sleeping in my socks. Yeah, not sleeping
because you thought that's what made your feet stink.
No, it was.
It really
wasn't. Yeah, and then the fact that I ain't had that many socks, you know what I'm saying? So I was running
you gotta wear the same socks.
Yeah, you know that.
Oh, okay.
You know, so and then
you gotta go in there with clean socks, kid.
Yeah, the socks could have been clean, but when you got stinky feet, and you put your feet in the sneakers, and your sneakers stink. So it don't matter if you got on clean socks, and it's just, it was, back then that's what it was. So I always, Right?
So now you take your socks off.
Yeah, I don't have that problem. I ain't had that problem in over a couple of decades, maybe 3 decades.
Why didn't you guys came up? So with that being said, you should have probably came up with some FUBU socks. You got FUBU socks out there?
Yeah, we had everything. Like we produce every piece of garment that you can really think of. The thing that I'm most proud of is I came up with the hidden pocket.
Oh, okay.
The hidden pocket.
I don't even want to ask what that's for.
No, we ran out of time.
We ran out of time.
We're gonna keep it PG. You know what I'm saying? But that's what that was.
Well, I want to say thank you for not only believing in me, but just believing in the Shay McCray brand. Mm-hmm. Just believing in my talent. Mm-hmm. Believing that I'll deliver. Because sometimes I get out there and I'm like nervous and I'm like, Keith, I need you to do this. He'd be like, yo.
And then she only get nervous, y'all, before the lights come on. When the lights come on, she switch right up.
Listen, I don't know. I just see something bigger coming for me, and every time I get nervous. So it must be a bigger moment each time I get started. So,
but that's probably what gives you the, that oomph to keep going. So
keep going. Yeah. Thank you for joining the Shay McCray Show today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for tuning in.